Morning, peeps. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, you're all doing very, very well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. Thank you so much to everyone that's doing it because trust me, it helps. So if you're not doing it, please help a brother and do it. Thank you. Guys, I am an award winner. Your boy's won an award. I'm not quite sure if you guys know of the football blacklist. It recognizes black people in the sporting industry. So not really just football industry, but the sporting industry. So guys in front of the camera, like myself, guys behind the camera, footballers, athletes, whatever. It recognizes everyone. And I won an award in the media category. So there were a ton of people up for this award and I won it, and so did Alex Scott. Me, little old me, is an award winner. So yeah, I found out yesterday. In fact, I found out a couple of weeks ago that I was up for the award, but I found out yesterday I won the award, which is, yeah, very happy. I won it for my work at TalkSport, Sky Sports, and DAZN. So yeah, very, very shocked. Especially, again, I won it and Alex Scott won it. So there were like a lot of broadcasters up for the award, a lot of people in the media industry, and they gave it to me. So, and hopefully, I'd like to think that I won it because of this as well. I'd like to think it's a sort of a combination of everything I do. But I am going to get like a little plaque, trophy. I don't know what. I think it's a plaque. And it's going to go right over there. So yeah, that's good. That's good, right? I also want to apologize and thank you guys for your patience with regards to this studio. Again, this isn't it. I didn't come here and pay whatever I pay a month to do this. I could do this at home. The plan is to make it Joe Rogan style, where I've got guests over there, I've got cameras over there, and we're just having fun. It's frustrating because I'm like that. I do things super quick, and the people that I'm working with to get all the cameras rigged up and the lights rigged up are just so slow. And it's just annoying. And it's annoying because obviously I'm paying a monthly fee to be here. So I almost feel like I'm wasting money right now. So yeah, thank you for your patience. I guess when it's all said and done, I'm not even going to remember the first 2 or 3 months because the plan is we're here for a long time and then we move and go to a bigger and better studio. So I'm not going to worry about the first 2 months, but right now it's frustrating. But yeah, if you've just tuned into the channel and you're thinking this is the new studio, yes, I am in the new studio, but it ain't nothing like this. There's so much more that we're going to do, but stick with me, people. Trust me, stick with me. All right, let's talk about this Anthony Joshua KUGAN CASSIUS interview yesterday. Firstly, credit to KUGAN CASSIUS. I thought it was a really good interview. And I thought, like, 20 minutes in, I was thinking only KUGAN could have done this interview. Like, there's other good people out there, good journals. I think Rob Tebbett's probably the one that springs to mind. But I think KUGAN's relationship with AJ made AJ comfortable to then just almost be free and say what he wants to say. And again, that relationship goes back to what the last year of AJ being an amateur. So it's a very, very long time. You're talking 2012. So it's a long time. 9 years they've been friends, and 9 years KUGAN's been able to kind of get AJ on these long interviews. Not as many as recent. We haven't seen one of these kind of long sit down KUGAN AJ interviews for a while. He normally just gets him sort of at an event. But I felt like it was needed this time. And yeah, again, credit to KUGAN for the questioning and credit to AJ for doing it. Didn't have to do it, so credit to AJ for doing it. I think the first thing that I liked was that there were no excuses. I was watching it thinking, please don't even give us an excuse. Don't do that, please. I'm one of your biggest fans. I don't want to hear an excuse. I just want to hear the better man won. And I think that's kind of what rang true during the interview. The better man won. The better man was Usyk on the night, and he got the job done. I think we're going to go sort of back and forth in the interview here because I think the biggest thing for me was the trainer thing. And KUGAN touched on that, I think about 25 minutes in. KUGAN touched on the fact, okay, look, you've been going to America. What's the situation? Are you still with Rob McCracken? From that interview, it sounds like he still is very much with Rob McCracken, but that he also wants to maybe seek advice from other people and soak up knowledge from other people. He spoke about obviously going to Eddie Reynoso, Ronnie Shields, Virgil Hunter. But it seemed like from that interview that the best conversation he looked like he had, and maybe I'm seeing this wrong, was with Robert Garcia. Like he seemed to really, like his eyes glowed up a bit when talking about Robert Garcia. And look, you know, I've watched so many interviews of Elie Seckbach in that gym, and I probably have heard from Robert Garcia more than any other trainer. And he does seem like a great guy. He seems like a great guy, and he seems like someone that, look, Robert Garcia has trained so many world champions, former boxer himself. And I never thought of that being a good fit for AJ, but now, sort of, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Maybe that is a good fit, but maybe it won't be a good fit. And the reason I say that is because it sounds like AJ is going to keep Rob McCracken on, and somehow maybe when there is no fight camp. So what AJ normally does, he normally goes to his gym in Finchley, and I feel like he goes there to kind of, you know, just get in shape, you know, learn a couple of things, and then he goes to Rob McCracken and does the nitty gritty, right? Gets in real fighting shape. So I'm wondering if that Finchley thing will now be replaced by going to America and then bringing Robert Garcia, or whoever it is, for the last 3 or 4 weeks or maybe month in Sheffield. It confuses me. It confuses me, and I think a lot of people reading the comments, it confused them as well. For me, you've just got to do a clean break. A clean break. I think it's disrespectful to Rob McCracken, and I think it's very disrespectful to whoever you're going to bring in. Especially if you are bringing in Robert Garcia, who's trained, I don't know how many world champions, to work alongside Rob McCracken. That's just not going to work. You can't have 2 head chefs in a kitchen. You can't have 2 captains on a boat. Someone's got to be leading that ship. So for me, that ain't going to work. And he did point out, like, you know, he'll speak to Rob, and whoever he chooses to work with, maybe, you know, they can all come around the table, and if they can agree a working partnership, then they can. If they can't, then someone has to go. I found that all confusing, and I feel like AJ just needs to make a clean break and decide now. He speaks about loyalty, and I get all that. That's important. But you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. I think that's the problem already. And he spoke about that with the training setup he's got now. He said it. He mentioned that it's not quite working, that training setup, and that's because you've got too many top dogs there. Someone has to go. Honestly, someone has to go. I think even to an extent, the idea of what he does when he goes to Finchley, and look, I understand the relationship there, but then you go to Rob, and then within that setup, you've got other trainers that you've brought in as well. There's too many people. There's too many people. I mean, Canelo would only have Eddie Reynoso, and yes, he'll probably have a strength and conditioning coach and maybe someone else in the camp, but Eddie Reynoso is the man. Virgil Hunter is the man. You know, Robert Garcia is the man. Yes, they've got seconds and other people around, but they are the men in their camp. And AJ, I think, is almost confused it a bit. So, for example, say he worked, hypothetically here, to get a Robert Garcia. So that means he still does what he does when he goes to Finchley, because AJ likes doing that, and I get that. And then you maybe seek the advice of a Robert Garcia, and then you close up shop with Rob McCracken. Makes no sense. Honestly, makes no sense. And I think he really does need to decide what he wants to do here. He needs to decide. I mean, again, when Tyson Fury got rid of Ben Davison and just said, okay, this is my team, Sugar Hill Stewart and Andy Lee, that's it. Clean cut, that's it. And I think it's fair to say we've seen a different Tyson Fury, a way more aggressive, bully Tyson Fury, not a Tyson Fury fighting on the back foot, a Tyson Fury aggressive and bully-like. And that's just because he made a clean break and he said, okay, I'm going to focus all my energy on what Sugar Hill's going to teach me. The idea of AJ getting advice and seeking advice from some of the experienced trainers in the US and then going back to Rob McCracken, I don't think it makes sense. Look, AJ will do what he wants to do at the end of the day, but for me, that just confuses the situation more. I feel like the problem with AJ already was too many cooks in the kitchen. Now you want to add another cook. Sorry, not a cook, you want to add a head chef. It makes no sense to me. So that was the biggest thing I wanted to take away from the interview. Like, don't get me wrong, I wanted to hear what his mind was like after the Usyk defeat, and he looks like he's hurting. He's hurting, which is important because I was hurting and all AJ fans were hurting, and it's good to know that he was hurting because I've always maybe accused AJ, especially after the Ruiz defeat. I was like, man, what's going on? Like, you seem like you're not hurting, but obviously he is hurting. He deals with that hurt differently, but clearly he's hurting, which is good to know. I think his mentality is now as well that, you know, I tried to do a couple of different things. You guys said I couldn't box. I tried to box. You guys, you know, when I was too big and muscular, you said I'm too big and muscular. He's listening to us too much. AJ, you're your own king, brother. Listen to yourself. Do what you want to do. Forget listening to the critiques and the critics that are saying you can't do this, you can't do that. What I think AJ will do now, though, is revert back to AJ, destructive AJ. That's again, that maybe I'm reading this interview wrong, and you guys can kind of chime in here in the comment section. But I got the sense this is the guy that was like, you know what, you know, I tried to, you know, learn the slip and the jab, and I've done all that, which is good, but maybe I do need to go back to a bit of wrecking machine AJ, maybe, or maybe there's a hybrid of the both of them, and I think that's important. I think that's what maybe Vlad became a little bit a hybrid of the both, but the best hybrid combination was Lennox. After Lennox got beat by Hasim Rahman, Lennox was a bit more defensive, but also still very aggressive. AJ somehow needs to become a hybrid of the two. I think in the Pula fight, although it was a good performance, I thought too laid back and too relaxed, definitely too on the back foot against Ruiz, and I think we saw obviously him on the back foot a lot against, or at least trying to stand and box and go toe-to-toe boxing-wise with Usyk. He seems like he now knows what he's done wrong, and he's going to try and adjust. But yeah, I'm still very confused by the training setup. I think that's, for me, the most important thing. Like, get that set now. Like, again, we're coming up to November in a couple of days, December, January, February, March. Let's say the fight's in April, 5 months. You need to have that training set up now. Rob McCracken needs to know now. And whoever you're getting in America needs to know now as well. I guess the problem for AJ is that he's such a big cash cow. The American trainers are going to be filling him with so much, you're the man, AJ. You know, you got him, champ. Just because they know, boy, that 10% of AJ's purse could be anything between 2.5 and 3.5 million, maybe even 4. Jackpot. So he's got to make sure he picks the right person that wants and knows how to make the right adjustments, not just someone blowing smoke up his arse, which I guess they tend to do, don't they? Not Americans, trainers. It's clear that he's not going to work with another trainer over here. I mentioned the possibility of a Shane McGuigan over here. That's clearly not going to happen. He's very much looking to America. I just hope that, you know, I think AJ is a very good talker. I think he's a very, very good talker. And I just hope that it's not just talk, and real changes will be made in that camp. I do think he needs to trim the fat. I do. Again, I don't know why you feel like you need 4 or 5 boxing trainers, coaches in the lead up to a fight. You don't. I just don't think you need that many. I really don't. And hopefully we can, in the next couple of weeks, couple of months, no, not even couple of months, next couple of weeks, AJ will have made the right decision. What I did think, though, he seemed a lot more relaxed. Is that just me? He seemed a lot more relaxed. Like, I don't think I've ever heard AJ swear as much. Like, I heard more effings than I've ever heard in all these interviews combined. Again, maybe, you know, I've always said, bring back Femi, get rid of AJ, but maybe there is a bit of, you know, I've had enough of this. Like, I've had enough of trying to appease everyone. Let's just go back to what got us here. And what got AJ to where he is was being a destructive force. Yes, it was against limited opposition, but, you know, it got him to the top. And hopefully a bit of that can come back and he can get his belts back. He did speak about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder in an interview, gave Tyson Fury plaudits for a good win. Not much for Deontay Wilder. Pretty much said, like, you know, he would have beaten everyone that Deontay Wilder would have beaten. And the first time the couple of times Deontay Wilder has stepped up, he's realised it's very hard at the top table. I'm guessing those couple of times are the first Luis Ortiz fight, and obviously this trilogy with Tyson Fury. But look, back to AJ. Let's just see. I did think there were parts of the interview I didn't really like, but the majority of it I did. And I'm more about his mental state than anything else. And I think his mental state looks pretty sharp. I think he's, again, taken himself to America. He's been around what he called father-like figures in Virgil Hunter and Ronnie Shields and Reynoso and Garcia. They are kind of like father-like figures, all of them. And I think he's taken some good advice from them all. And let's just hope he makes the right decision in the next couple of weeks. We shall see. Again, no credit to Kugan for that interview. I thought it was a fantastic interview. You know, one thing, I hope I haven't mentioned this already because I'm kind of waffling now, but AJ clearly wasn't confident going into the Usyk fight. Clearly not confident at all. You can do all the training and all the sparring you want, but if your mental state's not correct, it's not correct. He wasn't confident because Kugan pushed him on the why a couple of minutes before the fight are you like speaking to Clifton Mitchell? Like, what are you getting from Clifton Mitchell? And AJ even said something like along the lines of, you know, I thought I'd get a couple of words of advice and, you know, Clifton's been there and done it. And I'm like, I get that. I like Clifton. You know, when I go to events, I see him and we have a chat, but I mean, you don't do that. You don't do that. And look, AJ did also say, look, the win or the loss wouldn't have been whether or not I got advice from Clifton Mitchell. So why are you getting it then? What are you doing? I found it strange. I thought the whole ring walk and the speaking to Clifton Mitchell on the apron was strange. And again, that comes from a pace of not confident. AJ wasn't confident going into that Usyk fight. So look, he's watched everything back. He knows what he did wrong. And let's hope for me as an AJ fan, or even a British boxing fan, that AJ can sort the issue out, because in front of him is a formidable opponent, formidable. But now, thinking about it, I can't lie to you, I am a big fan of that Robert Garcia link up. I do like it. All right, I want to quickly touch on the fight card this weekend. I know a lot of you have given me stick because I said it was a good card. Yeah, maybe I did a bit of hyperbole there on my part. There are a couple of fights that interest me. I will be there, by the way. Laura Woods is doing Maya Jammer's job. I'm doing Laura Woods' job, so I'll be doing some interviews behind the scenes and stuff. Hopefully, what I really want to do is have the opportunity to interview the fighters as they come out of the ring. That would be really nice. Obviously, I've never done that before, so that would be good. I'm very intrigued by Chantel Cameron versus Mary McGee. I like the fight. It's number 1 versus number 2 in the 140-pound division. And I'm not overselling this. I'm just saying I do like the fight. Chantel Cameron has moved up a couple of weight classes. I interviewed her yesterday for DAZN. I said, look, you've gone from super feather to lightweight to super lightweight. What's your best weight class? And she says, ideally 135 pounds, but 135 pounds is ruled by a certain Katie Taylor. So she wants to see what she can do at 140 and potentially even 147. But in Mary McGee, she's fighting someone that's been boxing for 20 years, professional for 17, IBF champion. The Ring Magazine belt's going to be on the line as well. And look, if we are trying to push and really sell female fights, then it's a good scrap. It's a good scrap. I mean, I've enjoyed a lot of the female fights recently. Like, there's someone, I can't remember who it is, E-Machines 1, that's your name. He always said, why are you talking about female boxing? Because I like female boxing. I think female boxing, I think we're going to see that it's going to get there. I was like you when it was female MMA. I was like, oh, fuck it. Female MMA is as good as, technically might even be better than male MMA. Some of the girls are incredible. And I think boxing's getting there. I still think it's a bit behind MMA, but I think it's getting there. And I think this is going to be a good fight between Chantel Cameron and Mary McGee. Another fight that interests me a little bit, Yusuf Kamari versus Castaneda. Yusuf Kamari is Dylan White's fighter, fights at super feather in this country. Obviously super feather over here is pretty stacked. I think a good fight next for him, he'll get past Castaneda, but a good fight next for him will be Zelfa Barrett. And then we'll see. I know he wants the likes of Joe Cordini. He's not ready for Joe Cordini yet. But there are good fights in that division. Archie Sharp's in there as well. The other fight that I'm really interested in is Alan Babbage versus Eric Molina. People are going to say, what? But let's not forget, people. Babbage has only had 8 fights. I was there for fight camp. Who did Babbage fight again at fight camp? He fought Mark Bennett. Now, mate, I'm telling you now, Mark Bennett had him in trouble a couple of times. That was a brutal fight. So as much as people are saying, yeah, Molina's done, Molina's better than Bennett. And I think, like, don't be fooled by, obviously, Babbage, we want to see him in with a big name, but he's not ready for a big name yet. He's only had 8 professional fights. Molina's coming off a knockout win, obviously lost in strange circumstances against Fabio Wardley, but he's coming off a knockout win, and I think that's a good little shootout. I think that's going to be a fun fight, I really do. So look, I get it. It's not the card we want it to be, especially coming off that Liverpool card, which was fantastic. This is a bit of a drop-off. Trust me, if I know, Eddie knows, Matchroom know, and DAZN know as well. So look, they will hopefully make improvements going forward. But there are a couple of fights on there that interest me. Again, Chantel Cameron, Mary McGee, Yusuf Kamari, Castaneda, and Babic Molina. Let's quickly see if there are any news before we pack up. Jarrell Miller training hard with eye on returning, says promoter. No interest. What we got? Joshua praises Fury for big KO win, believes Wilder can become better. Yeah, he did touch on that. We'll see what Wilder can do. Again, it touches here on what I said about Joshua interested in expanding team. You don't want to expand your team. I just find it strange. Too many cooks in the kitchen. What's this? Shakur Stevenson here saying, me and Tank later on down the line would be an amazing fight. Yeah, there's so many in that division now. That from that 130 to 140, there's so much in there. And I mean, if they can't make the fights, then fuck it. But we'll see. We'll see. Like, I'm still waiting for Devin Haney versus Jojo Diaz to be announced, because that's all gone a bit quiet, and that was supposed to be like now. Well, I say announced now for December. I don't see what the issue is. Again, Devin Haney did say that Jojo Diaz is trying to get out the fight. I don't know. I don't know if he's either trying to get out the fight or asking for a bit more money. I'm not quite sure. Roy Jones Jr. would entertain idea of exhibition clash with Joe Fernier. Joe Fernier, obviously the guy that David Haye fought. What is David Haye actually doing? Is he done? Because I feel like there's a few more exhibition fights for David Haye. Honestly, I do. Tony Bellew's getting in shape. Tony Bellew's in great shape now, by the way. Wouldn't mind seeing that. All right, guys, I think that's it. It's just going to be a quick video reflecting on that AJ interview. What did you guys take from the interview? Well, I've seen actually some of the comments. Some of the comments are a bit harsh. You think AJ just goes round and round in circles, some of you do, or you think he waffles a little bit. I think it's a bit harsh. I just like, again, the big thing for me, no excuses, sort the training situation out. And I think mentally now, after hearing about sort of the speak with Clifton Mitchell, mentally he wasn't ready for the Usyk fight. I know that sounds crazy, but he had no confidence going into that fight. Peace and love.